Okay, let me turn my volume speaker off. And welcome those who will join me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Anthony Milton. Welcome to my Facebook channel with another part 2 of interesting message. Do you know you? And make sure I'm online. Do you know you? We have heard that. You probably heard it in your lifetime. Your mother or father say, where do you know that girl from? Or where do you know that guy from? Or where did they come from, or something about their family. You know, do you really know that person? But how do you define you? How do you define you? When we begin to analyze or do a self-assessment of self, we will discover the real us. Not what people think we should be or how we behave and what should we be doing with our life, but we will know us for who we should be. When we are not aware of who we are, we will take on the role of someone else's identity, like I want to be a basketball player, I want to be a rapper, or something to that effect. But do you know you? And when you learn about you, you'll be in a better position to not be taken advantage of, or people deceive you, or use you, or tell you something that doesn't make sense. And when you become, when you begin to understand you, you will hear things that doesn't make sense. I was this morning. I was on the way to school because I'm in college, and I heard the news on the television, on the radio, about the CDC says that 6 feet distancing may not be enough, and they gave the reason by being in restaurants, bars, and night gyms that the virus can, when you, I'm talking right now, so when I talk and maybe spit, particles will go out into the air, and if I walk around in those particular places, then I can get or can contact, contract the coronavirus. And then I was thinking, I say, wait a minute, I had gotten to a point where I had begun to know me, and I said, that doesn't make sense. That does not make sense. To the average person who's in fear of, I don't want to get the coronavirus, on the box of mask that you may buy, it will tell you that it does not protect you for coronavirus. I've heard from politicians and CDC officials and people who got medical background, the pros and cons. The pros will be, oh, believe what they say because what they're saying is right. When someone else come back with something different, then they say, oh, that person, what that person's saying is wrong. So we must begin to think for ourselves and not be taken advantage of and say, wait a minute, that does not make sense. Why is it that the coronavirus only affects people that goes to gyms, in their home, or beauty salon, in a restaurant, in bars, but does not affect people who get an abortion, riot, protest, those kind of things. Why they don't apply the same information to those groups? It's always the other person. And I said, that doesn't make sense. And when we begin to know you, you begin to look at things from your point of view, not from the group thinking. We must walk away from the group thinking that it is impossible to say that you must stay in your household. And while you're in your household, you must wear a mask. While you're in your household, you can get the coronavirus from family members. But the question people should ask themselves, you breathing in air. Everywhere you go, when you step outside or go in your car, or get in your car, You are breathing in air. I know when I put on a mask when I go into certain stores because they don't want you to shop without a mask, and I have on glasses, the glasses fog up. Why? Because you're breathing out and you're breathing in. So does the mask really protect you? No. Do your homework. People have, do your own homework. I can say a lot of things that I have researched myself, and people won't believe me because they will say, well, no one else is saying what you're saying, and what you're saying doesn't make sense. And if they don't see it on the local news, they won't accept it. So we should begin to know who we are. So I was frustrated. I said, they're actually telling people that they must stay home until a vaccine comes to tuition. They must stay in their house and don't go outside because they could catch the coronavirus. But this same way of thinking does not apply to an abortion clinic, big box stores, people protesting on the street. Look at the news daily and you see mass protesting and whatever. Some peaceful and some are not. But when there's a peaceful protest, then they say you are a super spreader because you gathering together with a large group of people. But yet the same thing doesn't apply to the other side of the coin. So it doesn't make sense. We need to understand, I'm trying to make sure I'm online. We need to make sure that we are beginning to think for ourselves. So who are you? And I'm going to throw this out right now. Tennis shoes, money, cars, women, your appearance, your degree, your materialistic things, your property, your houses, your home, your stocks, your portfolio, your looks, your appearance, your hair, your nails, your shoes, whatever you can think of, does not define you. Now, knowing that, who are you? Who are you? Do you want to know who you are? Are you being influenced by the norm? Are you being influenced by social media? Are you being influenced because someone said you ought to be this person, that person? I use myself in part one to share that I use myself because I recognize that I did not know when I was growing up. Even right now I can look and say, did I really know me? Did I really know me when it came to relationship? Was I driven by sexual desires and pleasure only to experience the pain in the past? Did I handle my relationship based on what I think I know it should be, how I should behave, what I should say, how I should communicate, what direction I should be going in? Did I know me because my mother and father taught me the right thing on how to treat a woman, how a woman should be treated? Or did I just, flip the coin and just did what I think was right because it made me feel comfortable? So we must begin to understand that we cannot be acting or pretending or behaving in a manner that we think we know us. And when we meet someone that come across our path and say, why are you acting like that? That is not your demeanor. That's not you. I don't see you. I never saw you in that light. So should we follow the group thinking as into saying, I'm that person? Are you experiencing stuff in your life right now because you don't know you? Have you tolerated certain things? Have you allowed yourself to be seduced and enticed to behave just to get along or to get something that benefits you? Are you not happy because you don't have something? Are you happy because you have something? And when we look at self as and say, I must have this thing to be happy, or if I don't have it, I'm not happy, then you don't know you. You should be able to know who you are. Who do people say you are? Who do people say you are? Where are you from? What have you done? What have you done? How are you living your life? We must begin to understand. So who are you? Have you ever asked yourself, who are you? Have you ever been asked, who are you? Do you want to know you? Are you willing to die to self on what you think is you and renew your mind into another way of thinking to reveal to you that what you thought was you was not you? It may sound good, make you feel good, but is it the true you? We must begin to open up our eyes all around us, like I mentioned about the COVID-19 and the virus. There are people right now waiting on the virus. There are churches that are closed because they don't want to open, and that's their choice. But the question should be, who are you following? Are you following God as you know the God as you believe Him? Are you following what man says? I mean, we are prone to focus on self. We miss the truth that will set us free to allow us to get to know us for ourselves. So the COVID-19 virus, has exposed you to you. It exposed your fear, your faith, your trust, your lack of trust. It exposed your lies. Will you accept the truth? It exposed your behavior, good or bad. It exposed the church, the ministers. It had exposed a lot of things, your weaknesses and your strength. And we should learn from that exposing. But when we look at it from a position as it's all about me and not about the other person, then we run into trouble. We should focus on self first, get self in order, and then we can be a blessing for those on the outside. So begin to know, who are you? What are you? What is your true nature? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? How do you should behave in this situation? Do you know you? And I feel that from my own personal experience, I'm using me, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I fall in line in all those categories. I thought I knew me when it came to relationship. I didn't have a mother or father that taught me how to behave in a relationship. I had to learn from trial and error. I had to learn from what I saw on TV, maybe what books or what someone said, or just go on a gut instinct. But that didn't get me, and it only got me up to a certain point. So I decided as I got older that something wasn't working. In and out of relationships, thinking you was in love, but not in love, thinking you met the right one, whatever the right one is, and not the right one, compromising because of looks, compromising because of sex, compromising because of other things, not really being self, afraid to be self because you don't want that person to leave you, not like you, don't want to tolerate you, so you pretend to be someone. Have you ever dated someone? Are you dating someone right now where you can't really be you? Because you're afraid to be you because you may lose that person because of the benefits you may be receiving or the benefit that you hope to gain. So you pretend to be somebody that you're not. Or you pretend to be someone in a relationship when you ought not to be behaving that way. Have you been brought up from a moral family where you was told that sex out of marriage is not good, but yet you went ahead and did it anyway because you have been forced to? Nobody force you. You justify it's okay, and you know it's wrong. I've been there too. So when we don't understand and we fail to recognize that our situation, our faults, what happened to us because we don't understand us. We don't understand the true us. And I mentioned in the first part one where I say uh, when I was living in California in the Santa Ana area, I went to Los Angeles to get a job. And in this particular job, they wanted you to take a behavioral type test, I guess, to place you in a job that you will benefit their company. And when I got the results back, a couple of things I did not like what I saw, but why I did not like it. I didn't want to answer the question. Rather, I was trying to, have you ever taken a test pertains to your weakness and your strength? And you tend to answer the strength and you tend to fabricate and not really answer and be truthful. And it still picks up that you were trying to hide the real you. That's what the test did. Another test I did that showed that I was picking answers to try to make myself look good. But even in the midst of doing that, it still exposed me to me. Did I like the results? Some of it I did and some of it I did not. Do I see right now in my life where that behavioral analysis test revealed me to me? Yes. Did I apply it? Yes. Knowingly, unknowingly. Do I still struggle with certain areas that the test pointed out? Yes. But am I working on it? Yes. Because when we recognize that we have a weakness, then we need to work on that weakness. And then in the end of the test, it say, if I don't focus on my weaknesses, There's no need trying, because if I try to get a different job without focusing on my weaknesses and making my weaknesses, and the job require me to exercise in certain areas where my weaknesses are visual, then I don't need to apply for that job. Just stick and settle for what you're going through. So have you settled for what you're going through because you're afraid to open up your mind, open up your eyes, and admit that you need help? So when that was given to me, so I read my results, and I was surprised of the results when it came back. And these are my results from my behavioral analysis test many years ago when I was a young whippersnapper. And it said my strong point: initiative, dominance, leadership, persistence, willingness, and also point out my weak point. But I'm going to touch on a few of my strong points. I have the power, ability to begin or follow through with a plan and to solve a problem. I must admit, in some areas I am good at that. Then dominance, community, influence, showing. I say I can go along with that. Leadership, motivating a group of people who guides, direct, and try to influence. My videos on the hidden tears of a black male. He still speaks now. Listen. Thoughts in the AM that I have posted on Facebook. These three are very evident in those particular posting. I do my best to influence, not to influence to gain popularity. That comes with the label of my work. I'm recognizing that that is my strong point. That is really me. So if I take a job, if I put myself in a position where it does not allow me to excel and to take the initiative, to be dominant, to be strong, to have the ability to influence, to have a leadership role, then I'm not going to be happy in that job. So it's the same thing in a relationship. We must recognize our weaknesses. We must recognize what we are doing wrong. I remember dating a young lady, just seeing her, and she stopped me. She said, Anthony, I want to tell you something. Treat me based on what you and treat me based on the foundation that you and I create together. Don't treat me in a way of someone else hurt you, because I see that within you. I did not hurt you emotionally and mentally. So don't treat me as I'm the one that did that damage to you. And she's right. And how often have we gotten into a relationship where women will say, I'm going to pay this man back because of what another man did to me, or vice versa. Or we meet a woman say, before I let a man get close to me, I'm going to let some part of me, because I'm going to still be in control of whatever. All those things is fine. But if it's not the natural flow of a relationship, it's going to cause a problem, because you're not going to give. You're going to be expecting that person to show you, you are expecting that person to show you something that will cause you to give them a little cookie, give them a little bit of sweet, cause you to let your guard down little by little, and which is good at times. But when it's in a controlling manner, when I meet a woman say, I'm independent, I don't need a man for nothing, I don't need him for that one thing either, I'll just go the other way. So we must begin to know who we are. I recommend you can take there's a lot of free assessment type tests, to show you your personality and what kind of person you are, and it will point out your strong point and weak point. Like I mentioned in part one, when you go to a job, the person said, what is your strong point? And say, what is your weak point? I was sitting like, my strong point is this and that, but I don't think I have any weak point. That's a lie. Everyone has a weak point, a weak area in their life. So when I was deceiving myself, and you can imagine, I didn't get the job because this person's sitting up there saying to me that they don't have no weakness. We have weaknesses. Some people have weakness when it comes to sex, illicit sex, alcohol, or whatever. We all have a weakness to something. And when we're in a certain position of power and authority, maybe that weakness can be used against us to cause us to get involved deeper into whatever, and they use that against us to get used for ungodly means. So we must begin to look at self and say, do I really know me? I must recognize, who am I? Who am I today on Monday? Who am I going to be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday? What can someone say about me if they was asked, say, you know Anthony Milton? Yeah, I know Anthony Milton. Who is Anthony Milton? Well, what have Anthony Milton done lately? Have Anthony Milton encouraged and inspired you? Does he point you down the wrong track? Do he give you interesting things to think about? What has Anthony Milton done for you? When last have you met Anthony Milton? And then you start thinking about self. Are you thinking from a group position? Are you thinking because you want to get along? We living in a world right now where people are doing whatever based on what they think, feel, and what benefits them. They don't want to accept the truth. The truth, if it's not on the local news in their city, they won't believe it. They won't believe what I'm saying because who am I? I'm just one average person. But I feel a lot of things I say applies to me, and I know it can benefit you if you simply accept it. But we must accept. We must look at self and do assessment to recognize our strength and our weaknesses. And from there, we begin to understand who are we? Who are we this Monday evening? Who are you going to be tomorrow morning and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday? Are your feelings and beliefs going to change based on the blowing of the wind? Are you going to stand up for who you are and say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to do that. I want to be me because regardless if I get this or regardless if I get that, I'm going to still be me. And sadly, a lot of people don't like what they see in the mirror and they commit suicide. They take drugs. They find something to satisfy their desires. Find something to make them feel good for that moment. Only to fall into the trap of trying to modify, increase another form of pleasure because what they selected don't do any good. Oh, I used to smoke marijuana. It don't really do nothing for me anymore. I think I do some cocaine or whatever. And they keep elevating their desire to try to capture something totally different, but it only lasts for a moment. You must begin to know you. When you begin to know you and who you are and who you meant to be and apply who are you, what are you, where are you going in your life, what direction are you heading? Are you discovering you? Are you happy with you if you don't have a husband or have a wife or you don't have a doctor degree behind your name? Are you happy with you? And a lot of people, I must say right now, they're not happy with their skin color. If you're not happy being black, if you're not happy being white, don't tell me you go to God. But that doesn't make sense. You're going to go to God who created you to say, God, I want to talk to you. I'm not happy with being white because I discovered that I have white privileges. God, I'm mad and upset that you made white people because they're better than me and I'm black and I don't have black privilege. But, God, I think I should have black privilege because every time I see a white person, they must raise their hand and agree with me. So, God said, well, aren't you not doing the same thing? You demanding something from another race that you accusing the other races doing? Are you really thinking? Do you not know I can close my eyes and don't think about you and you will drop dead? Who are you to tell the maker what you are not to be? Did you create yourself? You are a woman, you are a man. Who created you? Your mother. Where you came from? Your mother and father and their mother and father, and then go down to the family tree. But individuals acting today like they create themselves, that they can do whatever because they have money and nobody can touch them. They can believe whatever and think they're going to live for tomorrow, and tomorrow not promising neither one of us. So death fall upon us, and person, yeah, I went to so-and-so funeral. What are they going to say about you? That you learned a lot from them, they have taught you a lot, and you have applied it to your life, and you're going forward to be a blessing to other people? Or are you going to be in the coffin and say, well, don't even, that person, they was really hell on earth, figuratively speaking. They was all about self. They hurt and used and abused and whatever. So your memory will be forgotten. And when your birthday, death anniversary come around, they may remember you, go to the grave and pray, or go to the grave and lay flowers, or think about your passing. But we should begin to want more out of our life. What are you today? Who are you today? What direction are you heading? Are you heading in the direction that will reveal you? Have you refused to accept the real you and decided that it's not time yet to move to the real you because you want to capture, you want to gain something that you have accomplished? But if you gain and capture something that was brought about based on lies and false belief of yourself, you're going to eventually lose it. Because it puts us in a position of, I want to control the situation. I want to control the situation. I know there's a lot of people, I'm going from my experience when I was a police officer. I worked as a police officer. I worked in a maximum security prison. I worked in a county jail. And I have a prior law enforcement background. And I did undercover work. So I can say that I have a vast amount of experience working in all those different jobs. And I can relate because I talked to individuals that was incarcerated. I learned about my weaknesses and my strengths, what I was faced with. And we all going to be faced with something. Never, never, never say you will never do this or that, because if you are put in a certain set of circumstances, you will find yourself in a position where you regret. I know me. I can recall many times where, I remember this young lady had went to, undercover work. We raided the house, and then I'm going to jail, and she went to jail. I think she spent like 5 years in the penitentiary, and she sought me out. And when she sought me out, she said, Anthony, please hear me out. I'm not calling you to get mad at you or whatever. I just want you to know you did me a favor. You did me a favor because of what you did. Because if I had not been arrested, I probably would have been dead, and I probably not been living, and I probably have not got to know God. And I want to thank you for it. She said, I spent 5 years in the penitentiary. And I said, wow. So, and then another situation where a young man was by the old Savannah High School smoking marijuana, and I talked to him, and I took him, he was arrested, a white kid, and he went to juvenile detention center. The mother sought me out and said, Anthony, you gave me a new son. So what's my point? Because I recognized me, I treated people fairly when it came to my law enforcement profession, and I treated them fairly. Did I look the way? Did I act at discretion? Yes, at times I could arrest them or whatever. I remember time I stopped, hit a corner where people stand on the corner, and I know and I see drugs or marijuana in a plastic bag near a tree or something, and I said, who's this? So it ain't mine, man. I swear it's not mine. It might be a little bit of stuff. I just let the wind take it off, and then I ride off into the sunset. And then when I did that, I rode off into the sunset. What those individuals say, wow, I didn't like what he did, but nobody went to jail. I didn't like what he did because it might have been their dope. But he didn't arrest us based on, oh, that's your dope because you black. That's your dope because you standing right by it. That's your dope, but they didn't see me in the area. So when we treat people accordingly, then we will be a blessing to them, whether wrong or right. When we do the right thing, we can influence other people. We can influence other people by doing the right thing. We can influence people to do the right thing when we begin to know us. When you don't know you and you start behaving a certain way, have you not gotten into trouble falling after someone's belief and ideas only to find yourself and say, wow, I shouldn't have listened to you. Why I shouldn't have followed you down that path? Oh, I regret following you down that path. Oh man, look what I'm pregnant, I'm this, I'm that. Because we don't know ourselves. Begin to know who you are. And I'll go over this Wednesday, give you three more strong points, following up with the weak point, and hopefully tying it together Wednesday and Friday to show you from my personal experience that I discover who I am back in the day. I knew me, but I didn't know me. When I used to go to clubs and nightclubs, I knew I should not be going there, but I was following the crowd, pretending to be like them. Went into the club, and because I did not like alcohol, because alcohol run in my family like running water, I didn't want to experience that. So I would get a rum and coke, a Coca-Cola and a cherry, pretend I was drinking a rum and coke, grapefruit, or orange juice or grapefruit, pretend I was drinking some mixed drink. Even when I did order a drink and I was putting it to my mouth, I knew I should not be doing it. I just heard a voice that you should not be doing that. But I did it anyway. And I regret it because I ended up puking over the commode. So I knew me, I fought with me, I wrestled with me, I wrestled with the ideas of this is not you, this is what you should be doing, and I fought myself, and who won the battle? My behavior revealed who won the match. Your behavior, if you're struggling to do the right thing, and you're really struggling to do the right thing, you will be able to determine who won in the struggle. It's going to be the truth or going to be the lie. But both of those are going to flow out into your words and your behavior. And when you do that, we can influence people with our lives. We can influence people with the truth. So to discover, a lie can reveal you to you. The truth can reveal you to you. But one thing, the lie can be multiplied. But the truth is only 1 + 1 is 2. Not 3, not 4, it's 2. So a lie can be, well, what I think. You know, they got the thing now about our Common Core of math. If the kids say 1 + 1 is 3, they're not wrong as long as they're able to explain how did they come to that answer. That doesn't make sense. We live in a society, we live in a world where we are being told things and people go along to go along, get along to get along. Do your own homework in the midst of the vaccine, in the midst of coronavirus stipulation and social distancing. Do your homework. Type in anything that you hear from me or other people and do your homework. It's out there in the general public, but people don't want to believe it. I can't believe that because the mainstream media is not saying that, or the local news is not saying that. We want proof before we believe something. It got to really affect us, and then we will think differently. If a loved one dies in our family, then we are saddened and feel grief that they're gone. But if somebody that we don't really know or some friend of ours, we think about it a little way, but it doesn't have the same impact. Knowing self, knowing us, put us in a different boat of understanding and a different mindset as to do the right thing. We must begin to do the right thing. When it comes to politics, when it comes to religion, we should vote for the right thing, not because of skin color, sexual preference, or whatever. Vote for the truth. We need to vote for truth. We need to vote for God candidate. Yes, God has a candidate. God has an opinion. You might not believe in God. You may not even go to church. That's totally up to you. But I know that there's a spiritual law out there. I know if I do bad thing will come back onto me. It's not that I beat up someone in the street. I can do bad things by what I think of that person, what I agree with about that person, or what I say about that person. If it's in the opposite direction of the truth, if I don't investigate it, if I believe it because that's what I feel, that's what I believe, and I don't want to change because it works well for me so far, I'm going to reap the consequences for not trying to understand, not investigating. Is what I'm hearing is the truth. And sadly, a lot of people is not going to accept the truth. You take the red pill or you take the blue pill. Whatever you decide. You take one of the pill and stay in Wonderland and nothing ever happened. You take the other pill and I'll take you deep into the hole of understanding about you. So if you like what you heard, share it with your friends and family members and say, I discover, or just simply do this test. Honey, son, daughter, who are you? Do you know you? How did you define you? But before you answer the question, I'm going to ask you, how do you define you? Who are you? Don't tell me anything about the property you possess, your bank account, your clothing, your stocks, your house, your looks, your appearance. Don't use any of those things. Now tell me, who are you and how do they define you? And sadly, most people is not going to be able to define themselves without using, well, I have a doctorate degree, I have a college degree, I got this in the bank account, I have this house, I got a lovely wife, a lovely husband, I got kids. That is not you. Those are the fruit of whatever, but you must find the real you. An orange tree bear orange, an apple bear apple, grapes and whatever. So the orange know it's going to be an orange because the orange seed that's put in the ground, or the watermelon, or the cantaloupe, or the sweet potato. We know when we put a certain specific seed in the earth, it's going to be just, we're not going to plant a watermelon seed and be an apple. We're not going to plant grapes and be an acorn, or a cone become a cabbage. We know that when it comes to planting gardens or vegetables. So why are we behaving in a manner when we should be behaving and say, okay, in order for me to be what I need to be, I must plant the right seeds of thoughts, the right seeds of truth. And yes, I can plant the wrong trees of lies. So if we plant the wrong seeds of lies, we're going to reap the consequences of planting that wrongful seeds of lies. If we plant the seed of truth, we're going to reap what the truth reveals. There's no neutral fence where we can just sit and we're not touched by the lie or the truth, and we just down the center and nothing. We're not guilty, we're not responsible. It's the other person's fault, and it doesn't work that way. So if you like what you heard, listen Wednesday and join me Friday. God willing, I'll close with these messages. I'll upload them to my channel, Thoughts in the AM. Go to my YouTube channel, The Hidden Tears of Black Male. He's still speaking now, listen. Thoughts in the AM. Hit the subscribe button. So when I do log on and start broadcasting from those particular channels, you'll see that I'm on live. So it's my prayer that what I share with you will encourage you. Begin to say, okay, what is my strength? And really fight off the thoughts that reveal to you your weaknesses. Especially if someone already done told you what your weaknesses are. Did you agree with them? Did you fight them verbally, physically? Did you break the relationship up, the dating, the marriage, or whatever because you didn't like what was heard, like what was said, and you want to be in control and you blame the other person? If you have a discussion with someone and they're always telling you what the other person did and have done to them, and you rarely hear what they have done, then you know the conversation and what they're telling you is not all of the information. I have done it. When we share things with people, we should share both sides and be willing to accept and say, well, you did that. You know that was wrong. Why do you do that? And you start thinking and say, wow. And when you share what you've gone through, when you share what you've been through, you can be a blessing to other people. And they say, wow, I need to hear that. Thank you for sharing the information with me. I really need that. So God willing, I'll be back Wednesday, same time. It's my prayer that you be blessed with whatever you need. Job, place to stay, a car, home, a good job, good health. And those who are suffering from COVID-19, it's my prayer that you're well through the doctors or through well, God heal you, and everything will be all right. Trust in Him, and you shall receive what He wants you to receive according to your faith and understanding. So continue to believe. Every time we take a breath, every time we blink our eye is our tomorrow. So thank you. God bless. See you then.